Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, and today we've just had a surprise announcement from DICE. They have just confirmed that there is going to be a Season 6 for Battlefield 2042. So in this video I want to speak a little bit about that, and also want to get into some details here of the latest Inside Battlefield podcast that just aired today. And one of the main focuses here for me, of course the focus of the podcast was on Season 6 as a whole, but my main takeaway was some new information that we gleaned from this from Alexander Formoso, the lead weapons designer, all about the rebalancing of the weapons in the game and the increase to spread. So we're going to get into that in a second, but before we begin, if you guys do enjoy the content here on the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. I'm going to be putting a lot of stuff out on Season 5, and of course now 6 in the future after that as well. We are slowly climbing our way up to 50,000 subs, so any support you guys can give me would be highly appreciated. Thank you very much. So this is the tweet here. This is all the information we got. It simply says, Season 5 New Dawn launches on Wednesday and your Battlefield 2042 journey will continue with Season 6. Stay tuned for more info later in Season 5. It's kind of an interesting idea. I mean, it's cool for them to drop this a couple of days before Season 5 goes live. Obviously, that's going to build hype within the community and get people pumped to come back for Season 5, knowing that there's going to be additional content down the line. But at the same time, it does make me wonder why in the trailer they just said that there was going to be content beyond Season 5, and they didn't just give us the Season 6 drop right there and then. Honestly, I think they're sort of playing it by ear somewhat over at EA and DICE, or hadn't had the Season 6 officially greenlit when that trailer was made. I'm sure they already had content in the works, they just didn't really quite know what they were going to do with it, and it's now been decided that that content is going to be presented in the form of a Season 6 package, so no map DLCs it looks like, although it is going to be very interesting to see, you know, are we going to get more than one map down the line? Of course, now in Season 5, Hourglass remake is coming, and that is the final remake for the base maps in Battlefield 2042. So it does beg the question, doesn't it? Are we going to then therefore be getting more than one map after Season 5 in Season 6, for example? On the other hand, they may just be cutting the team down. There may be fewer people working on Season 6 than the previous seasons, and we may just get one single map. Honestly, I wouldn't hold your breath. I wouldn't expect more than one map, but it would be really awesome if that was actually the case. Okay, moving on here, let's talk about the Inside Battlefield podcast a little bit. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it was sort of a general rundown of everything that's coming in Season 5, and most of the stuff, of course, we already knew. If you guys watched my video the other day on the 5.0 update patch notes, you will know that the assault rifle dispersion is being increased by about 15 to 20% across the board. Now that is only for the assault rifles, and it also bears mentioning that there was no specific nerf implemented for the RM68. A lot of people mentioned that the dispersion nerf is also for the RM68, but then again it's for the rest of the assault rifles, and well, in my opinion, the RM68 is head and shoulders above the rest of the assault rifles in terms of performance, especially at longer ranges whilst going full auto. So they elaborated a little bit in the podcast as to why they're doing this and their plans in the future with the rest of the weapons in the game. So as it said in the update notes, you spend around half your magazine, and by the time you spent, let's say, 15 out of the 30 rounds, your dispersion is going to be maxed out with that extra 15 to 20%. Your bullets aren't going to be landing as well as they normally would, and what you're going to want to do is let off the trigger and burst to reset the dispersion or the spread. They also mentioned that it's a very short amount of time that you have to wait between bursts, so you don't have to wait for half a second or anything stupid like that. You literally just let off the trigger for a split second, reburst, and that should reset your dispersion. They also mentioned, since this is, you know, pretty much just a blanket nerf to all of the assault rifles across the board here, the assault rifles that will be most likely hit the hardest are the ones that have short barrels and close combat ammunition, aka a fast rate of fire. So, you know, the RM68, the M5A3, and the reasoning behind that is most likely because the faster the rate of fire, the faster spread increase per shot, so you're going to need to burst more often than you are going to have to with, for example, the SFAR, and that could indeed mean that the SFAR comes out on top and is perhaps one of the better weapons, and maybe even the new G36C, the Guer, whatever it's called, in Season 5. That one too, being a pretty medium rate of fire, could be very good indeed. However, what they're planning to do here is get our feedback and look at the data after the dispersion nerf to all of the assault rifles, and then they're going to go over and see which of the assault rifles actually need tweaking, maybe some of their damage needs to be brought up a little bit or down a little bit, and they will then look at them on an individual basis. And that is most likely the reason we haven't seen any individual changes to the RM68, since they're going to be implementing something that affects every single assault rifle in the game. They want to see how that pans out, and then if the RM68 is still too good, they will make some additional changes. But another clue that we were going to be getting Season 6, and indeed more content for Battlefield 2042 as we progress throughout the rest of the year here, is that he said they're then going to use that data on how this works out with the assault rifles in Season 5, and then they're going to apply that to the rest of the weapons. So the SMGs, and presumably LMGs, and maybe even DMRs and snipers are going to be seeing similar changes that we've seen to the assault rifles, so probably, more spread over distance, a little bit more widening the skill gap, but it's most likely going to be a fairly slow process. I believe he mentioned that some of these changes for other weapon categories could be coming as early as 5.1 or 5.2, but now that Season 6 has also been announced, it makes a lot of sense. We've got plenty of time to implement those changes, and it wouldn't make much sense to overhaul all of the weapons in the game when you were just going to end support anyway. I have to say though, this does slightly remind me of when they messed around with the TTK in Battlefield 5 right at the end of the game's life cycle, when people were relatively happy with the gunplay. Of course, a lot of people aren't happy with the gunplay in 2042. It is just too easy, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions, but I'm willing to bet there's a lot of you guys out there who are happy with it as it is and don't want to see any changes. Now, just to end the video here, as good news as this is to have Season 6, I do believe this may be the last season. They're not calling it the summer patch like we had in Battlefield 5, but it could well indeed be the same thing. If my calculations here are correct, and we get 14 weeks of content in Season 5 like we did have in Season 4, then that will put the start of Season 6 on the 12th of September. And then another 14 weeks after that is actually the 19th of December, so that really nicely lines up with Christmas. That will be the end of Season 6, everyone's going to go on holiday break for Christmas and New Year's, and that may well just be the end of Battlefield 2042. On the other hand, what I would of course prefer is that the year after that, after Christmas, we are then going to see like a Season 7 in January of 2024. As you guys will have heard many times, we are definitely not going to be getting a new Battlefield game in 2024. We may start to hear something about the next game in 2024, but even that is not set in stone at this point. As far as I understand, they are still working on the concepts and the narrative of the next games that are being released by Ripple Effect, by DICE, and by Ridgeline Studios. So food for thought, guys. Anyway, I'd love to hear your guys' reaction to Season 6. I hope you guys are as stoked about this as me. I mean, I think it's pretty good news for all of us, right? So that's pretty awesome. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like below, subscribe for more Battlefield content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.